What is up, everybody? Josh here again, and today we have an Icarus Week 117 update. Batteries and battery networks are finally here. We get 7 new items, so many changes to go over, so little time. Let's get into it, shall we? Icarus Week 117, Batteries and Network. Icarus Week 117 brings the batteries and full network upgrade or rework. A full dynamic resource network for detailed control. Batteries are here! Finally, they've refactored the entire network to allow for batteries and variable flow rates. And the whole system's been completely optimized for more efficient network traffic. Adding optimizations, they talk about how long it took them to do it. They break down the new system, and they've also added a ton of new items also to the game. Let's jump in and have a read. First off, we're going to talk about the notable improvements that they added this week. Now, water networks are now accessible at Tier 3, and they'll go over what that entails. Sprinklers are now Tier 3 as well, cheaper and better. They can now make you or your enemies wet. They can water crop plots and can be triggered manually or by sustaining damage. And they fixed the issue where bee spawns would not always be removed upon their death. And one of my favorite changes that they fixed, is deep ore veins are now unlimited by design. And they fixed a bug a few weeks ago, which was making them refresh on each login, meaning they ran out as intended. But after testing and based on your feedback, they decided it was a better experience if they never run out. So now they're unlimited, which is really cool. So let's take a look at sprinklers and all this stuff here and the water networks. The water tool is now only in Tier 3, and you can only craft it in machining bench, and it requires copper wire, gold wire, and platinum sheath now just to craft. So that was how you craft them, and they're in Tier 3 now, much cheaper. You can just sit there and actually activate them whenever you want to. So if you sit there and just hit E, now hold E will turn it on or off, like so, and hitting E will activate the sprinkler when it's on. Sprinkler has to be on for it to be activated. And of course, it'll just sit there and spew out. It will make you wet. As you can see, we're wet because of it. It will water garden plots too that are nearby. That's really neat to have. If you don't have iron crop plots or better that actually connect to a water source, then you can water them with sprinklers now. And of course, to turn the sprinkler off, all you have to do is actually hold E to toggle the device off, and then hold E again to turn it back on for fires. Now let's test fires. We have one device that's off and one device that's on. Let's see which one works. So it looks like if it is off, it will not work. To reset it, we're going to hold E again to turn it back on, but we're going to turn it back off actually. Light this on fire and see if that goes up in smoke. Yeah, so it looks like if you don't have your sprinklers on, they will not activate. You do have to toggle them on for them to work. And then of course, toggle back off. Sprinklers also are activated. I don't know why that went off. What in the world? Sprinklers are also activated if you attack them. And this also counts for projectile. And your deep vein ores are now unlimited, so get as much ores as you want. And this week we got batteries and brownouts. They've added battery and water storage devices to the game to store resources for later. So not only can you store power, but you can store water now. Instead of devices shutting off when not receiving enough of the required resource, many of the devices will now go into a brownout stage. Depending on the device, some will shut off. For example, aquariums will shut off, while crafting benches will brown out. A brownout is where a device isn't receiving adequate resources and then performs suboptimal. Examples are lights get dimmer, crafting benches craft slower, and dehumidifiers or heaters have a reduced radius of effect. Devices like water pumps will produce less water if they are not receiving enough electricity. You can now look at the status of networks by using a water or electric tool, respectively, All you have to do is hold R and it'll bring up that menu. Or you could connect one of the new items added this week, a flow meter, which will monitor your networks. And we can also now set priorities within electricity and water networks. Prioritizing means that devices will be prioritized to receive resources first before the rest of the network. This is especially helpful when you have a heavy network load or not enough power to run everything. We're going to show you all this in game, but we're going to go over this section real quick called One Big Refactor and skim over this. In the first paragraph here, they basically go on to say that doing what they've done is no small feat, and it had to be a complete reprogram of the networks. They go on to say that the system was originally designed for a constant flow of rates, but once they tried to add the batteries, the simplicity of the system just wouldn't agree with it. So they had to completely rework the system and make it different so it'd work with the way it's working now and work on variable rates. And they now have, after months of work, developed a system that supports variable flow rates. We also have an on-off system now that you can use, and you can now see everything that's connected to the network at a glance on electricity and water. And thanks to the new dynamic system, that means we can now have brownout states. In the past, these devices that usually would run off power would just shut off completely. Now they can go into a brownout state where they just have a reduced efficiency. The new system allows for much more control and information to work with. They're also talking about doing some bug fixes and balances in the coming week, and they're talking about maybe buffing wind turbines. It looks like they really should just change how much stuff costs. Even with batteries in their current state, which we're going to show you here shortly, it's okay. And with the new network comes a smorgasbord of new items. We got the basic battery rack made at tier 4. It's about useless if you ask me in its current state, and does not support high capacity networks, just really small applications. We have the advanced battery rack, which is in tier 4 as well, which is a premium option, much better for storage and capacity and flow rate, and more suitable for larger networks with much more demand. We also got the tier 3 water barrel, which is a storage device connected to water networks, and the metal rain reservoir, which collects rainwater, can defrost ice into water, and stores more than the rain reservoir tier 2. It can also be connected to water networks to act as a storage device. So it's like storage and catching at the same time. And it can feed your network. The biofuel water pump, which is tier 3, which I don't like personally, is a brand new device to allow water networks to be created and used early in the tech tree. It's basically just a water pump that runs off biofuel. We have the tier 4 water borer, which is one of my new favorite devices they've added. It can be placed on enzyme geysers and then powered and used to extract water, which can be fed into a water network, and it's much more efficient than water pumps. We also have another great addition to the game, the Flowmaster tier 4. It's a device connected to both water and electrical networks. It displays and shows the current supply, demand, and stuff. Basically what you see with the R command, but on a real display. So if you bring out your water tool, you can also see that as well on these devices, and we'll show you that here shortly. And real quickly, the balance adjustments they've made this week. Basically, they redid the whole entire network. With the addition of the biofuel water pump, this makes water accessible at tier 3 and earlier, and all tier 3 and above furnaces can now be connected to water as well, so you don't have to put stuff in there. You could just connect to a water network now. For example, if you're making clay or something like that. And of course, we talked already about the water sprinkler and its cost and everything being reduced to tier 3, which is really cool. The water sprinkler was really expensive for some reason. They also moved the biofuel aquarium, which is a tier 3 item, and removed its level requirement. It does require a water connection now to keep your fish alive, but you can build it before level 30 at least. I never quite understood the water requirement on aquariums, but okay. The tier 2 masonry bench water network has been removed, meaning you can't add it to a water network, as there are tier 3 replacements that help solidify it as a tier 3 as the introduction of enhanced production with water networks. So you basically need to go to at least tier 3 for your masonry bench to have a water connection now. So we're going to go ahead and check out all this stuff in game for you. So let's talk about some unlocks, shall we? Tier 3, we're looking at the water barrel right here, crafted with refined wood, epoxy, and iron ingots. We have the metal rain reservoir, which is iron ingots, wood, stone, epoxy, and charcoal made at the machining bench. So was the water barrel. And of course, it's not new, but the water sprinklers in tier 3. You also now have the water pipe tool in tier 3 and the biofuel water pump right here. Made the machining bench. It requires steel, electronics, epoxy, and copper wire. Moving on to tier 4, we're going to see the basic battery pack, which is electronics, copper wire, refined wood, platinum sheath, and titanium plate, as well as the better version, the advanced battery pack, and that's electronics, titanium plate, copper wire, gold wire, and composites. The advanced battery pack stores 6 million, and its max rate is 10,000 per second, in or out, where the basic battery pack only does 1 million and has a maximum of 1,500 per second. We also got this neat device here, the flow meter, which is the meter that connects to your resources and tells you the breakdowns of water and electricity on your networks if you connect it to it. It's crafted for aluminum, gold wire, copper wire, electronics, and glass at the fabricator. Also, towards the end here, we get water borer, which is a really great addition to the game. It requires composites, steel ingots, electronics, steel screws, and copper wire. And of course, just look at the bottom inventories of the fabricator, and you'll see you can craft these items. And we're going to show you what all the items are and what they do. So our large update base seems like it's taking about... It probably takes less, but we have 13 advanced battery packs in our base currently. There's 7 up here and a small one just for demonstration. This is what the small one looks like. You can toggle it on and off. So if you want to not to use power from it or not to store power to it, you can turn it on and off like so. Of course, you can just pick them up as well. And you can toggle the big ones also. And they're all just kind of hooked up to the main network. The main network is being monitored by this flow meter here. As you can see, we have a supply of 55,000 and a demand of 31,000 per second. And it shows how much our storage is and how much our capacity is 79 million and our storage is 48 million. And it's going up because the batteries are charging. This right here is connected directly to a water and electricity tool. So you just take your electricity tool and hook it up just like you do anything else. Kind of like so. We're just going to connect the water here to show that. We can also hold E to switch over to water, and it'll show what the water is. We have a supply of 7,000 and a demand of 1,700 with no storage. On this device, we can also just hit E, and this brings up one of my favorite menus so far. This is the new menu that shows you what your supply is, your demand, and your storage. Here on the right hand side, there's different values here down below that kind of tick off whenever they are being reduced or increased. You can see we have 5 electric water pumps and 1 water borer connected to this, giving us 7,000 water, and what devices are connected to the water network and how much they are using per second. We can also now left click and assign priority. So for example, if we want our aquarium to have priority over everything else for water, we're going to left click on that, and now it will be prioritized over all the other items that aren't checked off. We can also switch back over to the electricity and hit E, and this is going to show our entire electricity network that we have at this base. We are being powered by 11 solar panels right now, supplying us with 55,000 power, and we have biofuel generators, 5 of them, but they are on standby or off. They're currently toggled off. They are just for backup. You can see if stuff's on, idle, or off, which is really neat, and how much your total supply is. Our total demand down here, which is 31,500, and it goes into breakdown what exactly that is. We have our deep freezers set to prioritize, so we can always have power sent to them over everything else, so we can keep our food from expiring. We have ceiling lights, 32 of them, which requires 4,800 power. You could go down here and see the whole entire base that we have. Now, a lot of things will go into an idle state. That's a new addition to this game. We'll show you here shortly. We also have all of our storage here, which is our advanced battery racks. You can see all the battery packs getting charged up, and our basic battery racks already full, and how much storage we have here in the bottom right corner, and also how much we're gaining or losing per second. So that's the new panel system. You can also reach that by bringing out any water or electricity tool and looking at the line and just hitting R. That will bring up that panel as well. And same thing for electricity as well. Just look at the electricity line and hit R. Also, most devices can now be toggled on or off. If you just hold E on it, you'll see that it can go off. And also, if a device isn't being used, for example, this composter here is not being used, we're not making anything with compost, and we are not using water or electricity because it's not on. It's just not being used. For example, our foundry, which is a big power sucker whenever it's actually being used, is idle. So if a machine is not being currently used, it will go into an idle state, and then you can also just straight up turn it off or have it an idle. All forges that are tier 3 and higher also, you can take a water tool to them and connect them to water now, and they will use water if the recipe requires it. There's a few recipes out there that do require water. So the concrete furnace will still take water, and the stone forge, of course, it won't. The original masonry bench, you can see, no water at all now. So it just makes basic stuff. It doesn't actually have water now to craft faster. But if you go up to the tier 3 bench, it does still accept water. It may currently be bugged. I think it's supposed to have water, but for sure our tier 4 masonry bench does. So I think it's connected to water, but it's like, it does say whenever you go into the inventory, a water connection will increase speed. So you can also now go into the plumb sink inventory by hitting X and putting your canteen in there. And look how fast it fills it up. Super fast. And you can turn off DeepVeins and stuff too. You don't want to use the power for them. This is the metal rain reservoir and the water barrel. The water barrel will store water if you have excess water on your network, and the metal rain reservoir will collect water and store it. You can turn it on and off, so you can actually tell it not to use water or to use water, like so, and you can access it with E and see how much water it has. It has a storage capacity of 150,000, but only currently has 106. Both these devices are connected to our water network here. We've connected them both to our water network. This includes this little cement mixer here, the biofuel stove, and this kitchen here as well. And we have it all connected to this water panel here. We'll switch it over to water. You can see we have no supply and no demand. So we're not currently getting water, and we're not currently losing water. We're just sitting at 106,000. If we were to go over here and turn on this cement mixer and say maybe make a few bags, let's make 10 bags. And you'll see that we're using water. And that will pull from this reservoir right here. This reservoir right here is getting water. So we have a thunderstorm coming. We're going to get to show you where it fills up. So it's actually using quite a bit of water, and actually quite fast too. Yeah, so this cement mixer is requiring 250 water per second, or just to craft faster. Now we have a rainstorm here. We can see that the water reservoir is collecting water. So if you had a large array of these, you could actually supply a small network with water continuously if you get rainstorms. And you can see it's just sitting there filling it up ever so slowly. Of course, if it was to get full, it will overflow to this right here. While we're waiting for that storm to pass, I'm going to explain to you real quickly how the math works in this. So for example, we have just a furnace here and a battery that's completely charged up with 6 million, and a furnace that requires 2,500 power per second. And we have our little device here. So we have 6 million stored, no supply, no demand. So now what we're going to do is turn this battery on and queue up a bunch of ore. This is going to use 2,500 power per second. So what does that mean? So that means if you have 6 billion power and you divide it by 2,500, which is every second, you have 2,400 seconds worth of power for this one device. And if we divide that by 60 seconds per minute, you'll get 40 minutes. So this furnace right here will run for 40 minutes, and you'll see the power just slowly ticking away. Well, not slowly. We can also see the 2,500 demand and how much storage we have left on this device here, or with our R command on the line. You can see we are using 2,500 per second. We have one electric furnace requiring 2,500 power and no supplies. There's no charging going on. So that means that if you have one of your most important devices, a deep freezer like this, which requires the same as this electric furnace, 2,500, you can run a deep freezer on one full advanced battery pack for 40 minutes. So that's kind of how you do the math for that. We're going to go ahead and turn this off and show you another really neat thing about batteries, but you can pick up batteries that are charged and then transport them. Yes, you can take batteries fully charged or charged and transfer them to another area. As you can see here, it still has 5 million power in it, and you can see a little yellow icon on it. So that means we could take it somewhere else and connect it to a device that requires power, like this furnace here, and power the furnace. So you could take these advanced battery packs, transfer them to another outpost or another base in your open world that you're wanting to get started, and you'll have power right at the get-go, which is really neat. So the power stays in the device when you transport it. And I just wanted to kind of show you that it is nighttime here at our update base. We're going to go in here and show you our batteries. I think we've actually showed you all of our batteries. We'll lag just a little bit. It seems like performance kind of took a hit this update. We have 6 batteries in there, and our storage, we're using 31,500 power per second, but we had 79 million power to pull from. Down below, we kind of got just a little room that we added our batteries. You can put 6 of these advanced batteries in a 1x1 spot comfortably and with no problem at all, really. So these 13 batteries will completely charge and do our whole entire system if we were to be away for whatever reason during the dark. So if we just slept during the dark, we'll really never have an issue running solar panels. But if we were for some reason away from base all night, we should be just fine, and our power should be just good. We should be just fine. He's fine. So our next example is, what if it's not got enough juice to actually send it? Now this is in a brownout stage. As you can see right there, it has a reduction to how much energy it has. So it's negative 40% crafting speed during energy shortage. There's not enough power for us to power this device with just one little battery here. This right here only sends out 1,500 power. This one sends out 10,000 at a time. So one of these won't run this efficiently, or a fridge or freezer, but it is still working. It's just much, much slower now. So that's how brownouts work. So basically, if you don't have enough power, it will still work. Some devices will, but it'll just work slower. Same thing goes for your deep freezers. If it's just not got enough power from that little battery right there, you'll actually have stuff spoiling in your deep freezer. Minus 61% rate of food spoiling. So make sure you got plenty of power and batteries. Last things we'll show you is the new water pump, the biofuel water pump. It works just like a regular water pump, only it just runs off of a biofuel can. One biofuel can will last for 2 hours and 30 minutes. And you can activate it with the biofuel and can be placed in any water source, pretty much anywhere. And you can hook it directly to your water network as well. And we can see on this device here, we have 1,000 water coming in. Now on the roof here, we can see now the water jug is being filled up. So that means that once that finishes pumping in 2 hours and 30 minutes, this will probably be full, and it'll be completely full to be used for water later on. And this one is completely full now. And my new favorite way to get water is the water bore, which sits on geysers. So if you're not actually using your geyser, or if you have a geyser close to your base like we do, the water bore is much, much more efficient than the water pumps. The water geyser will shoot out 2,000 water to your base per second and only requires 1,000 power. And that is quite significant because to accomplish the same thing with the water pumps, you have to have 2 water pumps requiring 2,000 power. This is half the electricity for the same amount of water as 2 water pumps. And it just sits there. It will just require 1,000 power. We just got a windmill here connected to it. And it's just sitting there basically giving us 2,000 worry-free water all the time now. And this is a really nice device. You can actually toggle it as well. You wanted to shut it on or off. And also, as mentioned before, the basic aquarium now does require water, 250 to be exact, 500 for the advanced aquarium. And now we have a full water barrel here. You can see if we can pick it up, see if it transfers water. I don't believe it will. It just says it's storage, so it looks like all that water probably got disappeared. Yep, sure did. So you still can't carry water, which I understand, but you can carry electricity. So yeah, that's batteries and networks and all the new items they've added this week. What is your opinion? Comment down below. Tell me what you think. I think that the batteries they're okay. I had to have 13 of these. That's very, very expensive. I believe that they still are quite small as far as how much power they store, Very, very, very small, technologically speaking. I think they should either reduce how much power devices use or how much these batteries still have. Because originally these are 1,500,000 storage instead of 6 million. I think they should be double 6 million, maybe 12 to 20, honestly. What do y'all think? Let us know. But other than that, it seems like everything worked. And I haven't really found any bad bugs yet. So we're running this base right here completely 100% off of batteries and solar panels. 11 solar panels, but solar panels that nonetheless. And let's say hypothetically you're at the stage that we are in Icarus, where you pretty much have everything. Have done everything, and you have a power tower like this, or 2, or 3. What are you going to do with your windmills? Well, I guess you can always just take your windmills and put them on your DeepVeins to kind of help with the power requirements for that. Take the power requirement off your base and your batteries and throw them at your DeepVeins maybe. Or break them down for mats. Or keep them if you don't mind it. Some people, they lag though. And next week will be batteries, bugs, balance, and optimization. They're going to be balancing and optimizing anything that was added this week that needs to be changed or optimized or fixed, along with some other quality of life. And they say if you still like what they're doing, to still give them money. We have the Electrifying Changelog. Let's go over it and skim over it, see if there's anything that we missed. In the new content section, you can no longer make clay or scoria brick recipes in the stone furnace. It says here they increased the basic and advanced battery storage, so it takes each around 10 minutes to fully charge and 10 minutes to fully discharge. This is going to be augmented with multiple batteries, and each battery provides different discharge rates. There's also not a water connection for the tier 2 rain reservoir. Looks like they modified the size of the ice bore and flow meter. They were too small. They also mentioned light intensity and scaling. We actually didn't show that. Let's take a look at that real quick. And now we're going to make an artificial brownout. We are going to use a whole entire solar panel and then max it out a little bit above it. By turning this off, you can see the lights dim just a little bit on the chandelier here. Just ever so slightly, it seems like, whenever it goes too much. And then you can see it's got that debuff. Not enough power. It's not as bright. And of course, as I mentioned before, DeepVein ores are now unlimited. Yay! We just got a small fixed section. Let's take a look at it. Shield and offhand item stats are now applied when placed in the offhand. And it looks like they fixed the miasmic mission on Prometheus, where you could place the solar panels anywhere within the area now, where before they had to be kind of in the middle. We're going to skim over the future content section. Added cheat to spawn exotic infused creatures. Added red variant of infused creature particle system. And they're talking about adding the different troughs as they did last week. Adding Skullmut and Dribbo creature setups and correct naming. Submitting juvenile woolly zebra mesh. Oh look, a chicken trophy. So yeah, we're having 4 new food troughs. And looks like they're trying to go with a Valheim type comfort system that takes deployables around the bed and applies it to the player's well rested buff. All of them, they're also improving performance of forest fires. And they're adding the kiwi. And that's it for this changelog. And we just want to say thank you to the late night crew: KHX, Sergio, Wolfie, Sandy, Silver, John, EMC2, Rodnom, Aaron, Steady Bob, Jim K72, Kristen, Jaybird, Fubar, Chris, Sky Reaper 1, Hagar, Metalstorm, Charles, Anthony, Bob Greer, Veselin, Brooke, Valiant, Fire K912, Gabe, 427, Kevin, Mom, and Bobbio. Thank you so much for being part of the late night crew and for supporting the channel. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And thank you to our supporters as well. We will be streaming twice. On Friday, we'll be streaming this game right here, which is Winter Survival. They have sent out a code to us, so we're going to try it out and stream, and then we're going to do an Icarus stream and play around with batteries this week. And that's it for this video. Don't forget, if you like what you see, to like, comment, subscribe, and all that good stuff. Subscribe for more Icarus update videos just like this one, and content and stream videos whenever those come out as well. Please keep me and Dee in your thoughts, as we have a loss in the family, and we'll be going to a funeral sometime this week for that. And my uncle passed away from brain cancer, so keep us in your thoughts and prayers, if you will, and hopefully we'll see you next time. Peace.